Alright, so I've already done my non-spoiler review for Master of the Universe, so I want to go ahead and do my spoiler review now. If you want to get my overall feelings for the film, go and look at that one. But here I want to talk about specific things that I noticed in the film and kind of give you my take on those things. So I'll start with my favorite part of the film. So when they came out and had the big battle to Princes of the Universe from Highlander. Now they had a Highlander joke early in the film that I love Highlander, so it landed for me. If you don't know about Highlander, or if you don't know about Highlander and He-Man and all that stuff, the movies and stuff, then it's not gonna land for you. But I like the Highlander reference, and it was paid off with this song, Princes of the Universe. One of my favorite songs from a movie is Queen. Queen's amazing. Another thing I liked about the film were the gay references with Skeletor. So people have been doing this for years, the kind of the homoerotic kind of jokes with Skeletor, and so the movie leans into it. They're aware, they're self-aware of kind of the jokes there, and I don't think they do it in a homophobic way. I really don't. I think they're basically being very clear that Skeletor has an attraction to He-Man, and he's very much kind of working to saying these things out loud. But it really is kind of is playing on that on the images and the references from the animated show, the homoerotic things there, and so I think they lean into it, and I think Skeletor really does a great job. Jared Leto's Skeletor does a great job in making that funny while also not being straight up homophobic. Now, speaking of the film being self-aware, there is of course a Dolph Lundgren cameo. I guessed it. I was watching some of the press, and Dolph was at a lot of these events with the actor Gazeltine. I think Nicholas let me look it up. Nicholas Galitzin. So he was at Dolph Lundgren was at a lot of the press with him, and so I guessed pretty early that he would be in the movie, and he's in the movie. It's not a big piece, but I think it gives you a feel for, it's almost like a hot tub time machine.
Must be some kind of hot tub time machine.
You know what it is. It's a joke. We're laughing here. It's a comedy. I mean, it's not a comedy, but there's comedic elements to this film. And so I definitely think the film leans into the tongue-in-cheek nature, and that's just one thing to add to it. I also like the fact that they recognize there are people like me who grew up with the film, and while it was not the original 1984 film, and while it wasn't a great film, we loved it as kids, and so we're not going to just trash it in the movie like happens so often when you have some of these remakes. And so I like the fact that they're giving respect to the actor and they're giving respect to the film, both in the film itself and also with one of the post-credit scenes. And speaking of after-credit scenes, my favorite, of course, was the one that alludes to the She-Ra sequel that we knew we were going to get that. Like, that was not a shocking revelation. She-Ra was a popular animated show along with He-Man. It wasn't one or the other. And so if you watch He-Man, you likely watch She-Ra too, because it was they were connected and they were crossover. And so the fact that we're getting a She-Ra film at some point, I'm assuming based on the after credit scene, why have an actress and the scene if you're not going to do the sequel, do it as a sequel or bring them into the next film. I'm glad that's there. It was my favorite after credit scene. The one with Orko was bittersweet for me because I wanted Orko in the film itself. Like, I wanted him to be a major character. So a lot of what the Man-at-Arms character did, I wish that was Orko. So having maybe Orko having fallen off the wagon because he couldn't help and things like that. That would have been interesting. But they did that with Man-at-Arms. Idris Elba's a great actor, so it worked. But I wish that was Orko. But having him in the film with the little after credits part which he did in the animated show too, sometimes along with the other characters, I think that was good. Now, going to the things I didn't like about the film. Again, it really centers down into how overstuffed it was with the jokes. As I mentioned before, the HR meeting in the cage just didn't work for me at all. I did not like it. I felt like it slowed down the film a lot, and if not for Prince of the Universe, that could have really downgraded my view of the film going into that final battle. There were a lot of jokes, innuendo jokes in there that I just didn't land. A lot of silliness. There was one scene in which he gets on a bike, because in the animated shows they would have motorized like bikes and stuff along with swords and arrows and stuff. And so he got on the bike, and I immediately knew the bike was going to crash backwards. Like, it wasn't even a question. And so when it happened, it's like, that's the lowest hanging fruit you can do. Like, it just didn't work. And there were a lot of jokes like that where it would be so low hanging that it just didn't work. Now, one joke that I thought worked, but I felt was out of place, is what Teela called Cringer. I'm not even gonna say it because it's a weird thing to say, but it's like she referenced him to being a cat, but then called him a certain word, and I laughed. It just felt like any aspect of this being a children's film was done at that point. And so it's like, I don't think I liked it being that. Like, I think that I got the joke, but I don't think it worked in that moment. I mean, it was funny, but I don't think it works for this film. Again, we're still trying to get kids a little bit into this, but maybe not. Maybe they really are just wanting the nostalgia adults who watch the show audience. In that case, it worked. If you're trying to bring kids into this film, I mean, it's PG-13, which I thought was a weird choice, but honestly, it's not going to bring kids in at all, which wasn't my critiques. Like, I feel like you could expand the fan base to some extent with this film, but this was a missed opportunity. All right, so my last big critique of the film, and I'll end it here because I've already said if I think you should see it or skip it, so that was in my non-spoiler review, so check that out. But in regards to my last critique of the film, based on kind of what the spoilery stuff, is they have this whole idea of Teela and Adam being attracted to each other. They play with that especially when they meet as adults. So you have this very ripped guy and this very attractive woman, and the idea they're working together and that they have a past. And they do play with the idea that they should be attracted to each other. And then they have this moment where it looks like they're gonna connect, and then they have the whole friend zone joke. And that's what it was, a friend zone joke. This idea of he's a good friend. And I didn't particularly like that joke because either you kind of establish it that these are friends, that there's no romantic thing there. I think that's a good choice. That is a choice. And so you can maybe build her having a romantic interest, him having a romantic interest at some point down the line. But to have that friend zone, to me, was a cheap joke. And it really it's kind of like playing around with the audience. Assuming there will be more movies. If there wasn't going to be another movie, I'm like, what is this? Why even do the innuendo stuff if there's nothing? They're not going to build on it. Or again, maybe establish this as being a different story where Teela and him have different romantic journeys. I think that's fine too, but to play around with it and then do the friend zone joke, I didn't care for it, and I was like, come on guys, let's move on to something else. Don't do the innuendo stuff anymore if you're not gonna have them actually be a couple. Like, just don't do it. Alright, so if you found this video interesting and or informative, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, please share this video. And if there are other films you want me to review on this channel, please leave those suggestions in the comment section below. Thank you all for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day.